GM. Welcome to Overpriced JPEGs. I am Carly Riley, and today on the show, I have Marcus Bläsche, whose last name I have once again pronounced incorrectly, and I apologize, but you will see in this episode, he tells us how to say it properly. Marcus is the director of marketing for the Sandbox. He also has he's the co-founder of RumbleKongz League, which is a play-to-earn project that the likes of people like Steph Curry have bought into. So he's a big deal. I loved this conversation. I honestly wish we could have gone longer. I had so many more questions to ask, but we had a time cap on this. So we'll have to have Marcus back on. We talk about the Sandbox. Obviously, it's a big deal right now with Facebook's Metaverse announcement or Meta announcement. There's been a lot being made of the Metaverse space in general. And Marcus really talks about how the Sandbox fits into that ecosystem. We talk about their alpha launch, which is the big news right now. For the very first time, you have public users exploring the Sandbox. We talk about how that's going. And Marcus gives a prediction as to how far away we are from like a Ready Player One scenario where in a mainstream way, we're all hanging out in virtual houses with our friends or going to concerts in the metaverse. And I have to say, his answer very much surprised me. So you have to tune in to listen. You're already here, so that's a great sign. And with that, please enjoy this conversation with Marcus, whose last name I'm not even going to try and pronounce.
ZERION is the perfect place to view the entirety of your crypto portfolio all in one spot. Not only does ZERION aggregate all the tokens across all of your wallets, but it also displays the NFTs that you've been tirelessly collecting. ZERION even reports the value of your NFTs in your overall portfolio, giving you the most comprehensive report on the entirety of your crypto portfolio. ZERION isn't just a place to get an understanding of your portfolio, but it also hooks into DeFi activities like trading, borrowing, and lending, all in one convenient place. So you don't have to memorize all the various DeFi websites to do all of your DeFi activities. To get started, go to ZERION.io/Bankless and load up your wallet or wallets into the ZERION interface and supercharge your DeFi experience and enrich your NFT lifestyle. That's ZERION/Bankless.
I want to give a special thanks to Overpriced JPEG partner BlockBlock, not only because they are a sponsor of this show, but also because they are my employer. BlockBlock is an innovative blockchain lab. We work across NFTs and the metaverse, and our goal is really to push the industry forward with every new project we take on. We founded and currently run the Meebits DAO, which just partnered with Larva Labs to create more metaverse-friendly renderings of Meebits, which is awesome. We are also partnered with a Sundance Award-winning filmmaker to build the first DAO that will own a feature-length documentary film. We have a ton of cool projects down the pipeline and are really looking for cool people to partner with on this. So go to blockblock.io to subscribe to our newsletter and be kept up to date about what we have going on, and also to check out open roles we have available. Would love to have you apply. Come work with me, coming out, blockblock.io. Okay, you ready to kick off, Marcus?
I'm ready. I was born ready.
All right.
Let's do this.
I am so excited for today's guest. Today on the show, we have Marcus Bläsche. Did I pronounce your last name
Bläsche.
correctly?
Okay, let it slide.
Okay. He said it. Go with his pronunciation. Marcus is the director of marketing for the Sandbox. This could not be a more timely interview. The Sandbox just launched their alpha. We will be talking all about that. He is also the co-founder of RumbleKongz League, which is a play-to-earn game. And hopefully we get to that. If we're talking too long about the Sandbox, we'll have to have you back on, Marcus. But so glad to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. Really excited to learn more about what you do and the Sandbox generally.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for the invitation. I'm excited to spread the word about the Sandbox.
Excellent. I want to start with your background. Tell folks where you come from. How did you come across NFTs? What was that journey like?
Yeah, sure. Like I think I'm rather new in this space compared to some other people and some other colleagues and friends that I met now. My background is in traditional gaming. I joined the gaming industry in 2008, and I was working in the European publishing office of Blizzard Entertainment, where I was in charge of some risk management and scheduling tasks. And I wanted to was my entry into the gaming industry that I initially only wanted to have for 6 months. And then somehow I stayed there, and I'm still in the gaming industry. I stayed there for 4 years, and then I joined a free-to-play developer and publisher called Wargaming. They're doing free-to-play games. And back then, it was but soon 10 years ago. It was 9 years ago when I joined. Free to play was rather new. It was this business model that was coming from the Asian market, which was around like grinding and pay to win, and not very attractive to a Western audience. But if listeners or viewers are familiar with the free to play business model in gaming, it's something that right now has established itself as like a go-to model for big publishers like Riot Games. With Valorant, with League of Legends, like it's AAA games that are on this business model, and like working in this space for a long time and seeing it evolve. I last year, like I think it's exactly like 1 year ago, a little bit more than 1 year ago, I was doing I stumbled upon something called NFT and play to earn, and had this penny drop moment where I was like, this is actually really cool, and I jumped down this rabbit hole that I feel I'm still falling down to this date, and I found out about like play to earn, about like Axie Infinity, about the Sandbox, and the potential here. And I told myself like I need to be in this before it gets too big, and I met the co-founders of the Sandbox, like I think like it must be exactly like 1 year ago, and here I am 12 months later with the Sandbox, just launching the alpha, and it's it was a very busy year, but very exciting year. So rather new, like 1 year in the space, but I feel like I've spent a decade in it.
A 1 year in this space is 20 years in other industries, that's for sure, especially if you were in it for this year where things have moved so fast. Yeah. You described that penny drop moment. And I think on the one hand, it's very intuitive for people to understand why somebody who's in gaming might understand NFTs more quickly because you already are familiar with value of digital assets. On the other hand, it feels like there are a lot of people in the gaming world who are very opposed and dislike play to earn or dislike the idea of NFTs in gaming. Why do you think for you it was naturally intuitive? What in your background made this different to you than for others who maybe have the opposite reaction when they're in gaming and first hear about this space?
Well, for me, it's like the example that I bring up is what I did before as well. Like it's free to play. It's like you have various business models if you focus on gaming. Like you have a premium title, which is you pay X amount of money to get an experience that is like 10 hours, 20 hours, 40 hours, and then it's complete and you move on. Like you paid for the experience that you get. Then you have a free to play, which is free to get into, and it's at your leisure. You can decide if you want to spend money or get cosmetics or get like new gameplay elements added to it. However, there's no payout out of it, apart from the experience, like the connections that you make and the fun that you have in the game, if it's a game that you enjoy. However, if you now bring this to like play to earn, which for me is like an evolution, it's something that you ideally can get in for free, and you can spend money if you enjoy it, if you made a connection with the game and something that resonates with you. So in this sense, it's very similar to what free to play is, but there's the blockchain component to it, which adds completely new layers, because all of the sudden, if I use, let's use traditional gaming terms, like if I got a sword in a quest, all of a sudden it's mine and I can sell it or can give it to my friend, and it's like I own it because it's a digital asset, and I can decide what to do with it, and it's not a middleman that is the actual owner. And if I stop playing or I don't use this item anymore, it's gone. Like I can trash it or keep it as a memory. And this combined with play to earn, by earning like in-game currency or like any other currency theoretically through the investment of time or completing of tasks inside the game, is quite straightforward if you have a gaming background. But bringing this on the blockchain all of a sudden opens completely new possibilities that were not possible before. And this for me was this moment. I used to play a lot of World of Warcraft, and this is the perfect example, because you spend hours and hours and grind, and you do dungeons and you get new items, and then all of a sudden like you either stop playing and there's nothing you can do with your account and it's just sitting there, or you you keep them, or you have items that you can't do anything with, and just you look at it and it's like, oh, it was nice when I used to have this. But it's a frustrating experience to an extent, because you are limited in what you can do with the with the assets that you earned through time investment. And for me, this was the moment that was frustrating from a gaming perspective, and that opened a little bit my horizon when it comes to utility of NFTs. Because initially, when I heard about NFTs, I did not know about the utility behind them, and this was something that is that became very exciting with me. And it's the same with RumbleKongz League, which is all about bringing utility to NFTs. And this is for me the area in play to earn on the blockchain that excites me the most, because it's clear what you get. And
I want to get into the sandbox quickly, of course. I do want to ask, though, can you speak to why other people in gaming seem to not like it, though? Like, you make that case, and I think that's incredibly compelling. What a no-brainer. But as somebody who's not a gamer, I do see pushback on the internet, right? And I'm curious if you can articulate the counter case or why people are reticent around it.
No, it's a very good question, because just yesterday there was Ubisoft who announcing that they're going to introduce NFT features into one of their titles, Ghost Recon, which is a very, very strong signal of a world-known AAA publisher and developer doing something in this space, which for me is very exciting, because it shows that there are pushes into that direction, and for them, of course, it's also an experiment to see what the reception is. And if you go into the comments on Twitter on their announcement, it's
like anger.
Yeah, it's just anger. It's just hate. It's saying hey, why are you doing this? And I think there's it has multiple sides. Over the last year, as you know as well, in the first quarter of the year, there was a lot of attention about NFTs, about art NFTs, and there was a big discussion about the ecological impact of it. It's not scalable, all of this, because it's really just it's very early. It's not built to be scalable, or was not built to be scalable. Now, of course, with other chains, it's changing, and it's going into a completely different direction. But I remember this when we talked about the sandbox in Q1 and Q2. A lot of the pushback that we got was around the ecological impact of NFTs, and just being something that is new, or having a connection to an audience or to a user base that to the outside for a lot of people looked like just some shady people doing business on the blockchain, which is not, of course, what it is. And for us, it's really about bringing entertainment to this to the blockchain through utility, through empowerment of creators, supporting creators to the sandbox, and bringing ownership of digital assets to any user, be it Sandbox, be it RumbleKongz, be it Axie, being it any game that is out there that is being developed right now, which is pushing this, and it's exciting to see.
Let's talk about the sandbox. I think something that I learned looking into this whole space is that the sandbox is actually quite old. And as you talk about, these game makers or that are making the transition into NFTs, the sandbox itself is actually one such example. So I'm trying to think where to start here. I guess, why don't you give the elevator pitch, if you would, for what the sandbox is? And then I want to ask you a little bit about its history.
So the sandbox that we're talking about today is a virtual world that is all about empowerment of users on the blockchain. So this is it's not, I would not call it a game. It's really more a platform. But I'm going to get into this in a moment. But the IP, the sandbox, is, as you mentioned, it's a couple of years old. It's almost a decade old, and it used to be a mobile game with the Sandbox Evolution, and it was a single player 2D side-scrolling UGC game. And a lot of the feedback that always came up over the years, and it got over 40 million downloads, and it has still an active community that is playing it. But the feedback often was about, I'd like to have multiplayer, I'd like to have a 3D version of it, and I'd like to monetize it. And our co-founders, Sebastian and Arthur, they built the sandbox on mobile, looked into this, and had the genius idea of, hey, actually there might be something with this, talking about NFTs and exploring this space. And out of it came the sandbox that we're talking about now. So the brand itself is older and it's more experienced, and there's a lot of features and a lot of look and feel taken from the original game, especially the voxel art style. But the overarching concept is quite new because it is bringing like everything that was good about the sandbox and even more to a PC title for now. And this is something what we're right now in alpha. So we're still in the very beginning, but we're seeing like there's good feedback on it. And as I said, it's not really a game; it's a platform. Because for me, like when I talk about the sandbox, it consists of like 4 key components, which is the game, which is where you can play, which is a vox edit, which is a standalone tool to create voxel assets like avatars, objects, anything that can be used within an experience. And we have the Sandbox Game Maker, which is a no-code game development tool with which you can build experiences. That all of this can then be put into the 4th component, which is the marketplace, which is like where all the transaction within the ecosystem can happen. And so it's not really a game because there's more to it, even from a creator empowerment side. But it is there is a lot going on in the sandbox, and the alpha is only the most recent beat.
So let me see if I can articulate this evolution correctly. It sounds like it launches in 2012, and it is more like a game, as you say, at that point.
Correct.
Though, if I understand correctly, there was players were kind of building experiences to some extent, or building out worlds even then in 2012. Is that correct? Is that true? Okay. And then one of the big criticisms that you just articulated, or one of the big asks from the community, over 40 million downloads, you actually had an active community. Was one of the asks was, hey, we want to be able to monetize the stuff we're building on here. Like, I, as a creator, have built this really cool thing in the sandbox and I can't see any gain from it. And so Arthur and Sebastian, the 2 co-founders, are like, okay, well, this feels like a no-brainer that we can now move into the blockchain world where suddenly we can empower these creators, and these creators can start potentially making a living off of what they're creating within the sandbox. I think that's fascinating. And it seems like, in reading materials and the communications coming out of the sandbox, I'm sure much of which you're responsible for, that's sort of the foundational philosophy, or like foundational motivation for you all, is how do we really empower creators? And we'll talk about decentralization and how that's playing into it. But can you talk a little bit more about what you all do and how creators can earn a living in the sandbox, or earn passive income, or make money in the sandbox?
Yeah, there's multiple angles to it. Like from an artist perspective, I think the most straightforward approach is, if you are a creative person and you know your way around like 3D designs, and maybe you experimented a little bit with voxel designs or like 2D pixels. The most straightforward approach is to download VoxEdit and just design, like just build something that then can be published on the marketplace. And on the marketplace,
and something could mean like a sword that's an avatar could hold, or a dress that an avatar wears.
Could be a fence, could be a tree, could be a chair, like could be anything really. Like the idea is that you log in, and any asset, like any item, anything that you see, could be created by another user, and you can inspect it, you can see what it is, and maybe it's something, hey, I really like this tree for my adventure game that I'm designing, and you can interact with it, and maybe you can make an offer to the creator to purchase it. And this could be one revenue stream. And actually, to date, we launched our marketplace, I think it was an end of Q2, and we paid out over, I think, $3 million to creators only through our marketplace, because like on anything that's being listed, 95% of it goes directly to the creator, and we take a 5% transaction fee. That is. I
want to pause there. Actually, is that unique in the industry in general? There's other sort of metaverses out there, so to speak.
There's other metaverses, like each of them have their own approach. Like even if you go on OpenSea, like there's a transaction fee attached to it if you list something that you can decide on yourself. For us, the unique part of this 95% is that out of the 5%, half of it goes into the foundation that we can talk about later, because it's a completely different box to open that is really about decentralizing this whole ecosystem. But even if it's 5% that is being added on top of the purchase price, actually, it goes into the community directly, and it's meant to be empowerment for the users. And other revenue streams will be there's a big component around digital land and parts of the map, which we did not talk about yet, but the sandbox consists out of 166,000 individual parcels of land, each of which is a bit smaller than 1 hectare. And on those, you will be able to publish your experiences, your houses, your concert halls, whatever you want to build, and monetize them. So you can say, hey, you can only access my experience if you have a NFT that is acting as a ticket, or you can interact with it and build a play to earn a live ops campaign behind it that you can engage with your community. And
Snoop Dogg did that, correct? He said, hey, I've got this mansion and you can only come if you have one of my NFTs that's a pass for my mansion party.
Exactly. There's Snoop Dogg. Actually, Snoop Dogg is very exciting because it's 2 parts of it. We have the early access pass, which is really about the experiences and this Snoopverse, as we call it, where you can engage with Snoop and his vision on a creative level, which is not possible in the real world because it goes also it's a big topic of artists bringing their life or their experiences to a digital world, because it unlocks completely new opportunities because there are no boundaries anymore. And yeah, Snoop Dogg was doing it. We have there's an estate with a Bored Ape Yacht Club as well, and they will say hey, we're going to build our club, and you can only enter it if you have a Bored Ape NFT in your wallet. So there are multiple layers to it, and but however, what we really want to get to is that we help building and creating jobs in the metaverse. It's being it a designer, being it an artist, or something very straightforward, but also empowering, for example, landlords or industry, immobilia concerns that I want to deal with virtual real estate. Or maybe you're very good in teaching game maker or something digitally. We want to bring you an outlet where you can do this and offer new revenue streams in Web3, and it's part of our mission as well. And we have a big creator fund, we have a big game maker fund where we put a significant amount of money behind to support creative teams and individuals that might not have the funds to start something themselves, but we want to give them an outlet to go wild and build whatever they want to imagine. So
I really want to talk about where in this whole journey we are right now, and that obviously connects to the alpha launch, and then what in 5-10 years you all want this to look like. But I have to ask, have you met Snoop Dogg? Have you been on calls with Snoop? Do you have any insight to Snoop that I can
we have our weekly
from
call with him in a couple of hours.
Oh, really?
So yes, we talk with the Snoop team every week, and we do our brainstorm. But actually, a big part of the Sandbox, it's we have the brand and the brands that we are working with and that we're involved with. It's a key point of what the Sandbox Metaverse consists of. We have over 160 brands that are engaged, that we're working with, and Snoop Dogg is one of them. But we have also we have Adidas, we have Deadmau5, we have Avenged Sevenfold, Gemini, CoinMarketCap. It Smurfs, it goes the whole it goes a whole 360 on any genre, and it's really where we want to get to is to this. If you're familiar with Ready Player One and you log in and you see a Smurf running next to a Care Bear, and then there's Snoop Dogg running next to it, and it's this surreal environment that we want to somehow portray.
I have a lot of respect for Snoop Dogg, I have to say. I think he's a very talented business person who ends up having his tentacles in 10,000 different things. And
yes.
We'll come back to how you pitch the Sandbox to all these brands, because it is really impressive, all the partnerships that the Sandbox has developed. But let's start with, where are we right now? So I could go on as a creator and create a chair and put it up in a marketplace. Is there anyone right now there to buy my chair? Where are we? And of course, Alpha just launched, so you only just have the public starting to come in. Give us a sense of what this means in terms of users and what the Sandbox looks like right now, understanding that it's very much not in its final form.
Yeah, so it is an alpha, and if you're familiar with product life cycles, alpha is essentially like the early version of a bigger vision.
Does alpha become before beta? A before B?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And so alpha is
Intuitive.
it's the very first time. In some cases, like you don't even show the alpha to an external audience, and you keep it very limited. So it's really something that we want to share and want to involve our community in part of the development process. And in terms of the timeline where we are now, last week we launched the alpha, so it's 1 week old, which gives anyone
Which means
the
we're
opportunity.
1 week into the public
Exactly.
seeing the sandbox at all.
Exactly.
Okay.
So from the gameplay perspective, and we have the first play to earn mechanics through something that is called the Alpha Pass. And the Alpha Pass is unlocking various experiences, like up to 18 experiences that someone like can experience, which consists of single player experience, multiplayer hubs, clubs. There's an experience from our Game Maker Fund, which is completely UGC generated, and it is really just a glimpse into what will be possible. It's meant to just give you an idea of what this ecosystem could become. So if you log in now and you don't have an alpha pass, you can still experience 4 experiences, which is like an NFT gallery, which is a music club, and a single player experience as well, the alpha hub. But that's it then. After a couple of hours, you experience the alpha, and there are multiple ways that you can still engage by talking to people, like visiting the art gallery. It's something that where we're going to change the art that is being displayed there. But from a gameplay perspective, this is the alpha right now. So it's something that is like the rollout was initially a little bit bumpy, but now it's smooth sailing, and there are still some bugs, but overall it's very good. However, if you're a creator, you can download Game Maker and voxel it right now and get going. And you can build games. And regularly we have game jams where users can submit their experiences, that they build through Game Maker, and you can already share them with the world and get other people to try them.
So the incentive right now, if you're a creator, is not that you're probably going to get rich in this moment off selling shares in the sandbox. It's to have that first mover advantage and get in, so you understand this space, and you're making a bet that in some period of time, this is going to become a major hub of metaverse activity, of gaming, of community gathering. And if you have learned the space from the beginning, that's going to give you a huge advantage. Is that sort of the pitch on
right
that
now
side?
Like if I would I was talking about this with the boyfriend of my sister-in-law who's still studying, and I did not give him advice or anything, but I think right now, if you get familiar with any metaverse building or building content for a metaverse environment, you're very well positioned in a very fast growing space. Because what we're seeing is we have over 16,000 individual landowners, but only like a very small percentage of them knows how to use Game Maker or create assets. Like it's most of the time it's not creative people or not designers at all. Like some of them are investors that just want to hold land. They see it as an investment, that they want to rent it out in the future, which is also a revenue stream. And they lack content, and they don't know what to put on their content. So if you are if you're a little bit creative, or you have an idea for an experience or a game or a house or a social environment, like now is the time to get familiar with the tool and build something for experiences and lands to be hosted on. Like I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, Republic, they sold in an auction like a metaverse yacht for, I think it was 150 ETH or something, which is a massive amount of money. But it shows that there's a market and there's an interest to have content on your land. And because you want to have something, you wanna show what you have, like what you can do on a land, and it's also like inviting your friends to hang out, to do something, to listen to music, and decide what you want to do on your home turf.
And it's worth maybe mentioning, as we're talking about this, that that the sandbox specifically connects artists and creators and game makers to brands. So you have brands coming in saying, hey, we don't know how to build in here. Do you have anybody who can build for us? So there's also it seems like there's a lot of demand for these kinds of creators to consult for and work for brands, and that's a connection the sandbox will make. Is that true?
that's always part of the discussions that we have with brands. It's they're asking, hey, how can we we know what we want. We know what we want to share with the world. We know the type of experience that we want to build in the sandbox. How do we do it? Like in some of the cases, they have the internal manpower to build something themselves. But more often than not, we give them we have a Git book where we have a category that's called Creators for Hire, which is small studios that are specialized on metaverse building. And some of them, they're now working with major brands in the space to build their experience in the sandbox. And if you think like 1 year back, I don't think a lot of them would have thought that they build now experiences for like multi-million follower brands out there.
Wild. So this alpha is a really big deal. It's been coming for a while. You all actually pushed it back. You were going to launch it, I think, this summer and pushed it back because you wanted to get it really right. So this is a huge milestone. What are you all hoping to get out of this? What are the metrics you're looking at? What is the feedback from the community you want to get out of this? And how is it going so far? You're a week or two or so into alpha and people actually getting into the sandbox. How's the reception been? Talk about some of that.
Well, it's not the first time that I experience an alpha or a product launch, and it's a very exciting day because for the first time in a product life cycle, you give your baby away to the to the masses and give them the opportunity to share openly what they
you were saying
what
exciting,
they think about
but it also sounds terrifying.
It is both.
Yeah,
it's like having a baby and having children, and there is the feedback overall is very good. Like we're very happy with the resonance that we got, because also we explained that it's an alpha. Don't expect to be able to spend 80 hours in this sandbox because it's the first step of many, and it's a glimpse into this vision that we're building. And I think for this part we succeeded because we have a good set of experiences to try. We have a good set, like it's a stable. The servers are running good. Like the client is stable. There are some bugs, of course, but it's expected because it's an alpha end of the day. But what we want to get out of it is really gathering user feedback, seeing the behavior of players inside the space, like in certain experiences, like what do they like, what do they don't like, and using this as well to maybe give recommendations to builders or to other like brands and say like, hey, we see that a disco themed experience works really well because people, they want to log in and they want to listen to music and they just want to hang out and chat with other people. But when it comes for us, like it's we want to it's mainly about feedback from the community and learning what they like, what they dislike, what should be changed. Maybe the controls are too wonky. Maybe there's something like in the UI that is not clear. And this is the type of feedback that we want. And of course,
is there any feedback you've seen over this first week or so that keeps coming up that stands out that you can share?
That keeps coming up. No, there's some things about UI things that can be easily fixed. There's some clarity on our side where we have to maybe in the future have to see when it comes to the alpha pass, because you can see all experiences, but not all experiences are accessible. Some of them you can only go to if you hold an alpha pass NFT in your wallet. But those are UI and explanation things. But really game components, we get a lot of feedback of being able to swim, to fly, like to do things that you can't do generally. So those are features where we have to see now when we can implement them.
And what comes next? So this alpha period ends December 20th, I believe.
Yes,
is
exactly.
That right? Yeah. And then what happens? Like the sandbox goes back into closed mode, development mode. Can people still enter? What does that look like come December 21st?
This is an excellent question. Let's see. Okay. So let's see. So first of all, we're going to take we already started working on the iterations of the alpha. What I can imagine happening is that there's going to be another iteration of the alpha with different type of experiences, with different features, with new features, with extra new additions, and more like play to earn components, because if you hold an alpha pass, you get access to experiences right now. But if you do a set amount of quests, you also get access to 1,000 sand that you can earn, which is with a trading volume of sand. Like it's a good amount of
sand is what,
tokens.
like $3 if you want to
convert
like
$5
it to fiat,
I think
though,
today.
$5
so you can
now.
so you can do the math, and it's a nice little Christmas pocket money if you do some quests for it in game. But it's play to earn, like it's possible, and it's also like what we want to educate around. So the next part is going to be most likely a new version of the alpha, new features, new experiences. Everyone that's listening and holds an alpha pass, hold on to it. It's going to be useful. It's a memorable.
There you go. There's some alpha for you.
Some alpha for you.
Hold your alpha
most
pass.
literal sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And no, but there's a lot of development work to be done.
Are you seeing anything? So I can't even participate in like the 3 open experiences because I'm a Mac user. So this is something to know, Marcus. You walking around here like anybody can get in this. Well, I tried. Yes. I could not.
There's
as a Mac
little
user.
asterisk, at the corner,
that's,
like
that's a little caveat. So are you seeing though? Is it mostly folks interested in playing games? Are there people who are like just hanging out and jamming to music? It's a combination of all of that. And this will tie to my question about long term, where you want this to all go and be. But are you seeing any feedback on that?
No, we're seeing a lot of just hanging out, chatting, sharing experiences, trying the experiences that are there. Our goal long term is to go away from like providing experiences to try and getting more to a UGC component, because ideally we have as the name says, that the sandbox, it's we want to have something that is completely driven by the community and by the collective, and that means that also like any experiences that are being published on the sandbox, they're not done by us, but they're done by a user or a team or a brand that is building these experiences. And we want to build a platform to provide this and empower creators to share their experiences and the assets that they created. And end of the day, like it's going to be the players and the users who decide which content they want to like see and what is going to be most in line with what they're expecting the sandbox to be.
So I think this is fascinating. And let me see if I can put forward a vision for where you all want the sandbox to be in 10 or 15 years. And you tell me if that seems right. So my sense is, you mentioned Ready Player One. There is an element of that to what you're trying to build. Like, hey, we're the oasis. There's a finite amount of land here. So presumably you can't fit the whole world in the sandbox. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, in 10 years though, you want to be this thriving world where you have concerts happening and people hanging out in each other's virtual homes, and brands are there with game experiences. You can go, it's like, Disney World, where you can go from whatever the kingdom, animal kingdom, to other parts of Disney, and you can explore these worlds. But all of that has been driven by what the users themselves created. And the bet there is that if the users are creating it, it's going to be more appealing then to users than if it's you guys in a lab doing focus groups trying to figure out what people want. In this case, they're building exactly what they want.
Exactly.
And that this is one part of an interconnected world of many worlds, right? So the metaverse is not just the sandbox. The metaverse is many different places, and you can move between them and take your avatar between them. And the sandbox is one of those places. Is that the vision?
Yes. It's a good summary. It's a good summary. I'll take it. I will accept it.
Well, what would you add or subtract from that?
No, there is I think what is a key differentiator for us as well to other projects that are out there as well is that we don't limit ourselves to, hey, this is a platform for social events. This is a platform for gaming. And it's really like, it's up to you. Like you can log in and you say like, hey, I want to visit a museum. And then I'm going to go like, hey, but now I want to play an Among Us style game, or play like an RPG game. And, but you can do that. And we want to give you like the possibilities here. And, like to the UGC component, the gaming industry is very fast moving, and all of a sudden, like you have genres popping up that did not exist a few years ago, like a battle royale mode, which is something that did not exist before. Like PUBG and Fortnite really went into it and established the space for themselves. And now you have like Apex, you have Call of Duty, Warzone, all of those games that are around battle royale, and a lot of them are being they're created by players. They're done by like the community, and they know best. Like, you know best what works and what type of content you want to engage with, and what type of games you want to play. And there will be genres that don't exist yet. And also what we see as well in the game maker right now, like there are features and functionalities in the game maker that our community is using that our devs did not even know was possible. Like, we saw someone that created that played around with the functionality in game maker, and he created a lasso, and this is a functionality like that does not exist in our in the technical components, but he found a workaround. And I think this is very exciting, because like we give a blank sheet of paper. There are some rules, there's a border, but then you have the freedom to use it and build something that you want to have. And I think that's very exciting.
So, and UGC, just in case folks don't know, is user-generated content. So that's
sorry, for all
the basis of all this. No, I'm sure many people are familiar with that term. So, what I hear you saying is that unlike in the traditional brand world, like if you were to look at Facebook and Twitter and all these social media giants that are centralized places that jockey to figure out how they're going to position themselves, what are they going to focus on and specialize in. Spotify right now is a good example. They're clearly making a big bet on podcasts, and Apple doesn't seem to be making a big bet on podcasts. And that's being determined by people sitting up in executive suites saying, hey, we're making this bet on podcasts. What you're saying is, and it's sort of interesting when you think of your job probably, or like, or any job sort of, where you're not saying, hey, we as the executive team of the Sandbox are going to decide where to position this in terms of we're going to specialize in gaming or music versus Decentraland will do X, Y, or Z. You're saying we're going to see what the community decides they want to do here and just support that, and let's see where we end up in 10 years. That's the answer I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's part of the answer. Of course, there's more to it, and there are like we see there's functionality that's not possible where we want to get user feedback in the terms of directions of that we should focus on. Like for example, if you want to do a concert in the Sandbox, you need to have specific special effects that are supporting your music, and you have to have a playlist playable. And those are like technically features that are not yet there, but we want to like give a playbook, like a set of functionality that can enable this. Of course, for this is also part of the alpha, just to really see which type of feature set is in demand.
Yeah. So you will, of course, you'll be doing work to double down on what you're seeing from the users themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
So decentralization is obviously a big part of what you're describing, and it's a huge ethos in this space in general. You mentioned the foundation earlier. I've heard, I think Sebastian say in an interview before that he has plans to have Sand, which is the economic basis of the Sandbox, be fully in the hands of the community at some point, meaning he and others, executives and VCs and things won't have the majority of Sand. It'll all be in the hands of users. You guys have talked about having DAOs be a part of this. Speak to the decentralization piece and where you are in that evolution, where that might end up.
Yeah. So the decentralization part and the foundation part is something that we will talk more over the coming month and years. But what you just outlined is essentially it. Like, we want to give the majority of decision rights and decision power to the community, which is what decentralization is all about. Because as of now, the Sandbox is still rather centralized if you look at it. Like, we decide what type of experiences are there. We decide which NFT drops we publish on the marketplace and that we want to send an email about. And it is like following a very traditional model that we want to get away from in the over the years to come. And part of it is this foundation where 50% of all the proceeds that we make, of all the revenue we make, goes back into the ecosystem and is being used to fund game jams. It's being used to support creators and artists. We have a big push of supporting also like NFT collections, and there was a big purchase of like a golden Bored Ape a couple of months ago that made quite some impact in the space. But it's part of the foundation as well. It's not something to to have in our wallet and show off, but it's part of the treasury that is this sandbox, like where we have over 3,000 Ethereum worth of NFTs in a collection that in the future the community can decide like, hey, what do we do with this collection? Like, what should we do with it? In an ideal world, of course, it's a dangerous game to play as well, but I think it's also part of giving empowerment to the community and decide, hey, why don't we do this with the game? And we're putting it to a vote, which is like a lot of the movements around DAOs and collectives that is very exciting. And that goes very much against like traditional gaming, which is very much about, hey, I want to do a game in this universe. Let me do 6 months of user testing if they like this setting. And then we're going to do that and we hope it's going to work. While decentralization is really much about like, hey, we want to do this. Or I have an idea. Let's put it to a vote and see if this is direction that we want to go. Or maybe not even us putting this, but maybe a community member is saying, "Hey, I have an idea, and why don't we see how we can get there?" And I think this is very exciting, and it's going to be a bumpy road because it's something that does not exist in this shape or form at a scalable level yet. But I think there's a lot of potential of really like bringing ownership and empowerment to the space. And at the end, like this is also what I found out about. Like when I found out about NFTs, it was about like empowering artists, and all of a sudden they have new outlets to showcase their art and like talk to their audience that is all over the world. And now you see like musicians that go into this space because they can engage with through NFTs that act as tickets or that give avatars or that push like the brand further. And it's very exciting to see. And like the Ubisoft news as well, like it's a good example of really like established AAA companies looking into the space and seeing, hey, what is this actually all about? And we did not talk at all about Axie Infinity, which went viral in the Philippines, and families were playing Axie Infinity because all of a sudden they could make like a couple of $100 more a month, which is a significant amount of money. And it's like there are those on a personal level, those stories as well, which were not possible before, and all of a sudden, like you have the Web3 added to it, and it opens completely new doors.
Everyone is talking about the metaverse these days, and we're all still trying to figure out what it actually is, because everyone is looking for how to get exposure to it. That is why a metaverse index fund is so important, because in such a young market, an index can give you broad exposure to all the various players who are building out all these digital worlds that will ultimately become the metaverse. And that's why you should check out the Metaverse Index from the Index Co-op. The Metaverse Index gives you simple, easy, and safe one-click exposure to the emerging open metaverse trend. The MVI Index contains some of the biggest metaverse projects out there, including Axie Infinity, Decentraland, Illuvium, and more. So join thousands of holders who have already trusted nearly $50 million to the MVI Index. And if you buy $500 of MVI on the Dharma app, you can receive $50 worth of ETH on the Polygon network. There's a link in the show notes for you to click so you can get started on your journey into the metaverse. ONJUNO is your new crypto-enabled financial services company. ONJUNO lets you get your direct deposit paycheck paid to you in crypto. Set up your direct deposit with ONJUNO and receive part of your paycheck in your preferred crypto asset, reducing the time that you're holding on to your inflating dollars. The best thing is ONJUNO sends your crypto directly to your own wallet, whether it's your Ledger, your MetaMask, or however you hold your crypto. ONJUNO can also be a checking account for your crypto, where you manage both your cash and your crypto from one simple account. It's free, and opening up an account with ONJUNO comes with a metal debit card that gives you 5% cash back at select businesses, including Uber, Starbucks, Walmart, Target, and other Web2 companies. Use code BANKLESS when you create your ONJUNO account, and our friends at Juno will airdrop you $50 in ETH when you set up your first crypto paycheck. Sign up at onjuno.com/crypto to get started. That's onjuno.com/crypto.
How far away are we from a Ready Player One scenario? How far away are we from it being very commonplace or mainstream to go hang out in my digital apartment with my friends from around the world or around the country?
But it depends what you think of what the, like, let's say this metaverse, what you think it is. If it's a place that you go, or if it's a moment in time, as there was.
Let's start with that.
Yes.
Okay, you shared a very interesting article
Yes.
about this, so I'll back up. How do you define the metaverse? And I think you're going to get into, or what are some of the different definitions of the metaverse that you've found interesting?
No, there is this one that I just outlined. So anyone listening, go to my Twitter profile @direct, follow me, check out what I share. And there's a. I think it goes too long to go like really into detail about this as well. But like if you have a mainstream approach to this whole metaverse, it's a buzzword that is being used quite a lot right now in various senses. But for me, there are already there's already various metaverses that are interacting with each other. Like you can consider Twitter one as well, because you have all those profile pictures that are interacting with each other on a platform that is not at all about like NFT collections, but it's like all of a sudden you have interoperability beyond collections because the users are interacting with each other. And however, it's still a centralized platform and it's still like Twitter running it. And I think in order to I'm not sure there's gonna be like one like the internet in the near future where you just log in and it's part of it. I think there's going to be still a long road for like centralized companies that are very established right now to let go of their baby again, of their the reins maybe. But like I'd love that the doors get more and more open and that you see more and more like cross product usages and something in the sandbox. Like we have brands that would never work together, but you have you have their lands next to each other. Like you have Snoop Dogg next to the Care Bears, and like this is like from a traditional sense, it would not be possible otherwise.
So let me ask this, because and you said this, but I don't know if it went quickly. So there's this idea that the metaverse is a place that you go to, and so the metaverse exists once this place, and can be defined in different ways, exists. Then there's this idea that the metaverse is actually a point in time when we are spending not just more of our lives, but like more of the life that matters to us probably is digital as opposed to in real life. And that it's actually at that point in time that the metaverse has come to fruition.
Yes.
I think that's a really interesting definition, and people should go and check out what you shared about that. We can link to it in the show notes here. But going back to sort of the place idea and this Ready Player One idea, where what you described, you've got a Care Bear running around next to a gremlin, next to whatever, all these different kinds of avatars running around in a space. How far away do you feel like we are from that? If you feel like you can put a number on it, if you believe that that's a future.
I would say no, I would say like less than 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just look at 2021, like how fast this space is evolving. Like my background is in the gaming industry, and in the gaming industry there always was, you have to stay on top of everything. The gaming industry is so fast moving. And then I moved into Web3, crypto, NFT space, and it's
you were like, you all don't even know what fast is.
So yeah, what the fuck is going on?
Let me push back on that for one second, because I think obviously, yes, the acceleration to digital lives very much happened because of COVID. But there's also the opposite, which is I think work from home has accelerated and is very much here. But then I think when you look at like school, there was a lot of pushback to kids at home from a schooling perspective. And it's, if anything, made people want in-person school that much more. And so, and one of the reasons I bring that up is because I think an example you hear a lot in this space and an argument you hear a lot in this space is like, look, this kid cares more about his Fortnite skin or her Fortnite skin than she does her sneakers in the real world. And I feel like that was especially true when their only interaction with their peers was digital because they were home for COVID. But now that kids are back in schools and presumably will stay in person in schools, is that really true still? Like, do they still care more about their Fortnite skin than the sneakers they wear where they're seeing the girl they like in class? How do you think about some of that?
No, it's a very black and white thinking. Like I think there's like you have to strike the balance of everything, and like you can't have a blanket approach on all of this, of course. And there is a reason why like brands are exploring this digital space as well, because there is like you want to represent you want to show your sneakers in the real world, but maybe you also want to have an opportunity to show your sneakers in a digital world. And you see like Fortnite, there's a Spider-Man skin that you can get, and you can have a unique functionality with it. And it depends like really where you spend your time and where you engage. And from a kid's perspective, the social life is very important and social interactions are very important. And it doesn't mean that it has to be black and white. But on my side as well, like there's a lot of let's take example, like let's looking very briefly at RumbleKongz. We have 4 co-founders, and I never met them in life. Which is like we build a company that is
a company that Steph Curry.
Exactly.
I saw Steph Curry wore the merch for RumbleKongz.
Yes,
it's a big ass
Steph
brand.
Curry, like Paul George as well. There's very famous Kong holders that are out there, and it's like, and my co-founders, I never met them in person. I know them only digitally, and that does not mean that I respect them less, but because like we put the quality that we put out there in front of it, and of course, I want to meet them in real one day, because there is still real life that exists, and it's still important to have this interaction. And I think it's important to find this balance, because part of the premise of Ready Player One is as well that there is this dystopian backdrop to it, where you log off and it's a dystopian world where it's run by corporations and it's just going downhill. So, and maybe having it decentralized is a approach to prevent this, because like it's in the one side it's digitally run by a collective, but then you have still the real world out there. Like me, I live in the middle of nowhere, very lost, and that's also on choice, like to just to have a moment to switch off as well. And I think there's both. I didn't really answer the question, but
no, I think you did. I think you're making the point that I'm being a little too black and white about my thinking of like they're only going to care about in person or only care about their digital lives. And the reality is, you're saying they're going to care about both. And so This is very much coming. How integral do you see, and maybe this is an obvious question, how integral do you think the metaverse is to NFTs becoming mainstream? And I say that because I have right now in my head sort of 2 models for how NFTs go, what I would consider mainstream. They're mainstream now in the sense that pretty much everyone's heard of them, but there's still a lot of eye rolling, like, and a lot of like, what the heck is this? Why is this yacht going for 150 ETH? That seems crazy, whatever, right? And to me, the two stories right now that I have in my head about how NFTs really go mainstream in the sense that everyone buys and owns them is, my first one is concert tickets. The second, and I really mean that as a stand-in for ticketing in general, like once tickets are issued as NFTs, which I think is inevitable because the economic incentive is there and then the social signaling incentive is there, that becomes, once you have to buy your Beyonce ticket as an NFT, like game over, because people are going to buy their Beyonce concert tickets that way. And then everyone's going to start caring about what concerts you're going to, and the social signaling piece comes in. That's my one theory of the case. My other, and these aren't mutually exclusive, is the metaverse, and that people will start buying NFTs when they have a house in the metaverse that their friends come over to, and they want to have cool art on the wall, just like they want to have in their real world, in their real life. What is your theory of the case on this? Do you agree with that? And it sounds like you think that metaverse story, which I saw as being maybe further out, is maybe just as close as the concert ticket story. What's your reaction to all of that?
I think every example that you just mentioned is a perfect use case of NFTs, and it's something to look back on, and it's a memory, and it's something to keep in mind of it, because like you can say like all of a sudden you have a proof of attendance that you were at this concert, that goes beyond having a blurry video on your
drunken
phone.
selfie or sober selfie, whatever your age is.
Where you sing off tune to a Beyonce song, and but it's gonna happen. It's like concert tickets for me is like a low hanging fruit, and like in terms of art, it is a status symbol that all of a sudden it goes beyond like having it on your wall in your apartment that only like a selected number of people can see, but you can make it like you have completely different bragging rights, and it's like it's already possible. Like if you just go on Twitter and you see like NFT profile pictures, like there's a direct value attached to it, which is like in some cases like wearing a Rolex on your arm, but it's all happening digitally. So, but when it comes to NFTs, I think there's going to be much more use cases that go, of course, like beyond just going to concerts. There's going to be there's going to be communities that are going to be completely gated behind NFT and accesses, like that you can only be if you're part of this community, and that it's a token gating, or like art, as you mentioned, is going to play a key role of just displaying it, creating like yachts, creating houses, villas digitally where you can host parties, like going to concerts digitally. Because as a music artist, if I have a concert, I know I have a stage that has this size. I have an arena, if I'm lucky, that can hold that many users, and then that's one evening, and then it's over. But if you bring this digitally, all of a sudden the addressable audience is like it's like billions of people that can enjoy your content in a way that you can also present it that would not be possible physically, because all of a sudden, like, you can be a giant, you can be like firing lasers out of your eyes, and like it's opening completely new possibilities. And then
we saw this in the pandemic. Didn't Travis Scott do a concert in Fortnite
that
had like 143 million,
exactly.
Viewers or something? Or
and there's like they happen more, and there's like you have Ariana Grande. I think she did also like a concert, and it's like they're very distinct experiences that are happening, and they're only happening at a certain point in time, which is like an event, and you can say like, hey, I've been there. Like, you don't have that in Fortnite because you have a screenshot, but maybe like in the Web3 space, you have this NFT. This POAP, this proof of attendance that can show like, hey, actually I've been there. I was a part of it. That gives you like a memory for you to think back of, but also for the rest of the world to see like, hey, look, I was there. Like, it's your proof that exists on the blockchain. And I think it opens a lot of new possibilities. And NFTs themselves, like, theoretically, you can put anything as an NFT. Like, you can have your birth certificate as an NFT if you really want to, because like it is unique, and it can have the necessary information. I don't know if you want that, but
what I'm discovering as projects that I have going on is it's really our legal infrastructure that's behind, yes. Right? I mean, and obviously laws vary by country. We're in different countries, but like here in the US, there are projects we're trying to do that we could totally do via smart contracts. The problem is the law recognizes like the paper contracts as the official way things are done. So I think this journey is also partly a getting sort of the legal side to catch up with what the technology is able to do, so that we can have things regulated via smart contracts in a different way. Okay, I know we're running low on time. I'll have to bring you back because there's plenty more to talk about. But I want to have two final questions here. I do want to end with you sharing a little bit about what RumbleKong League is, even though we weren't able to dive deep into it on this conversation. But first, obviously, Mark Zuckerberg, the Meta announcement, Facebook has done a lot to, in the last several weeks, popularize the idea of the metaverse. What were your reactions to Meta, to this announcement? I don't know if you watched his whole presentation. What did you think of the presentation? Regardless of what you think of him, do you think that vision he painted of like that kind of world we're all studying, where like, is that what y'all want to do? Reactions.
No, it's like, of course, I watched the announcement, like I followed it, and also like from a branding and from a marketing perspective, like there's always like two ways to look at it, which is first of all the message and then the presentation. The presentation, I thought like it's nice, like it's nice
slick.
Use cases.
Yeah. Y'all have a lot of money.
Yes,
clearly you're able to put together something good.
Exactly. Like, it looks cool. Like, you have your headsets, and you push your own your product portfolio. It's cool, like, and. But at the end of the day, like, it remains like it's an ad platform that is giving you use cases to spend time in it, and like this is also what you have to keep in mind. And just because like a big corporation or a big company is pushing something doesn't mean it's gonna work. Like looking at you, Google Stadia, and which was a cloud gaming experiment from Google that did not work the way they intended to, and. But like it's in terms of awareness to the space, like it's incredible, because like all of a sudden we saw this on all our like homepage visitors, like the trading volume, like, and all our metrics, like they went up following this announcement. And it's and for this, like, thank you Mark Zuckerberg. So it's because it like from a brand awareness, he spent a lot of money on our marketing.
You're like, you did my job, thank you.
Yes, thank you, job well done. And but from a product like side, we will see how it's going to run. Like, there's going to be use cases for it. it remains like a centralized ad platform. So we will see where it's going. And there's going to be some nice Farmville experiences on there that you can play. And we will see how open they're going to be. In the end of the day, like how metaverse decentralized Web3 approachable they're going to be, which is going to like move the needle in the acceptance of it, because in the younger generation they are not on Facebook anymore. Like they are like it's different platforms. Like you have Twitter, you have TikTok, you have just playing video games that are not on Facebook, and it's going to be interesting to see this play out. And I'm going to remain open. We're going to follow it closely, of course. It's exciting because it shows that there's major brands into this space, but skeptical. We're gonna remain cautious.
Yeah. So, all right. Again, I wish I had you for another hour because I have so many questions I didn't get to. But let's close with, you're also a co-founder on this project, RumbleKongz League. That is a play-to-earn game. Is that the way it's call it, or project? Yes. It's an NFT project. Give us the quick spiel on RumbleKongz League. Again, repped by Stephen Curry. Wait,
yes.
Steph Curry. Why did I just get that wrong?
Yeah.
Steph Curry.
RumbleKongz League is initially launched actually as an NFT collection, but always with a gameplay component in mind. It is a play-to-earn game that is currently in development. That is around about Kongs playing basketball. It's 3v3 basketball, and every player on the pitch is an NFT that is owned by another user. And this is the premise, which launched 4 months ago, and currently in development. Very exciting, like as you said as well. Like Steph Curry, he's he bought Kongs himself. Like we have Paul George, who is who changed his profile picture to his Kong as well. There's several sports brands and athletes involved in it, and it's very exciting. And but the part here for me goes back to a lot of the points that we touched before, which is around bringing utility and ownership to players. Because if you play NBA or if you play FIFA games, you play a game and then okay, that's it. But we want to push this a little bit further and bringing the ownership to the holder of the NFT and let him decide if he wants to have a nice profile picture or if he wants to have a play to earn component behind it. Because we saw what we're seeing is a lot of attention on play to earn, a lot of attention on those NFT 10K NFT collections, and of course this whole NBA basketball, which is a very early adopter NFT market, which is very exciting to see.
Well, it's interesting you chose basketball, given that there is NBA Top Shot. And so there is, it sounds like a very different.
And Top Shot is more Top Shot is very Top Shot did a very good job in bringing a casual audience into the NFT space. And maybe you as well, you talk to people and a lot of them will say I got into the space because I played around with Top Shot and I collected some moments and then I stayed in the space and stopped using Top Shot. And it's still we have an audience that is 3 billion gamers, 2 billion basketball fans, and fast growing NFT space that we want to build a product for. And Top Shot is very much around collections and moments, and we want to bring action to it and something that is more interactive, that you can watch the game play out, that is not around the players themselves, but alter egos, which are the Kongs in this sense, which is also bringing a little bit more fun into it than and pushing the boundary. So it's something that we launched 4 months ago. We're very happy with the reception of it. As you said as well, there's basketball players who wear our merch, which for me half a year ago was never imaginable. It's a surreal moment to see Steph Curry wearing the same logo that I have on the desk behind me. It's crazy.
How did that happen? Did you all pitch them or they just found it naturally? I know Steph, he has a Bored Ape, he's savvy in the space, but do you know what drew them in, how this happened?
No, I think there was a lot of components. So he's actually a lot of NBA players. They are very NFT adept and savvy, and they're in the space. And I think he did his research, and I can say it on record. We have no doing in him buying a Kong. It's all organically, and because it's a question that we get asked a lot as well. If we paid anything for this or him wearing the beanie, and there's no involvement. He just he likes he seems to like the brand, and for us, this is like it's the highest form of recognition that we can get from someone like him, or like other, like we have Tyrese Halliburton, who joined our Discord like very shortly after mint. Like you have Ja Rule, who has a like who has also like who's very close to the community, and it's a fun group. And we had no doing in this. Like he bought them organically. We might have nudged him in the direction, hey, there's merch that you can also get that is on brand, you know. Like we might have.
We'll send you some. You may have helped with that.
Might have. Yeah.
Because one of the big questions I get all the time, I know I'm now going back on my word, which I said there was one last question, but I know one of the things I get asked a lot, I imagine you do too, is like, hey, I'm launching a collection. How do I get noticed? Like this space is so oversaturated.
Yeah.
Do you want to, give 30 seconds or whatever you can give on how you approached getting the word out about RumbleKongz? I mean, Sandbox too, obviously being director of marketing, but RumbleKongz, so that Steph was even able to realize you existed.
Yeah. It's and as you mentioned as well, like I think like our time to market was different than it is now. So when we launched, it was 4 months ago. Like of course we've been inspired by the second wave of collections after the punks, or that has been the Bored Apes. That I think it was in March or something, and they kicked off this wave of collections of NFT projects that still to date like causes 5 to 10 collections launching every day. And what for us was important, like what I described before, like we have a very unique value proposition. Like we combine a lot of things that is around like play to earn, around like collections, about basketball, sport, like fashion is a big pillar for us, because like we're building more than a collection. We're building a brand that is RKL. Like we have merch, we have our logos, like basketball players wear our brand. And I think there's a lot of components that resonate with a lot of people in the space that they can see something, which goes also like back to utility. If you have and quality as well, like our art, like the longest time we spent on nailing the art and making it look like high quality. And I think a lot of projects out there, they think it's an easy task because they see like all of those projects, they sell out and they make so and so much money, and it's great and it's very easy. Why don't I do that? But there's so much behind this. Like it's months of work that we put into like every trade, like every look and feel, and our white papers out there that people can read. And I think it's 15 or 20 pages long, just talking about game design. It's a game design document essentially. And there's a lot of work, like there's a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of long days, and it's not as easy as it sounds. And if anyone listening currently thinking of launching a collection, do it, because worst case it's a great learning experience. Best case it's gonna find its community and it's gonna work. But do it because you're passionate about it and it's something that you believe in, because otherwise I think it's going to be it's going to be a long road ahead. And for us, like we all love basketball, we all love gaming, we all love NFTs and what is attached to it. And I think it shows in our communication and what we're doing and in what we're putting out there. And then like for us, we were in a very lucky position where we have a very good value proposition, a very good product that got picked up organically, and then you have word of mouth. So people talk about it, and we see that like I think we have zero marketing spend on, like we have merch that we spend money on. But apart from this,
what are you doing? What's the point?
Yeah, it's like I'm just sitting here. Yeah, I am
the easiest job in the world.
Yes, exactly. I'm just sitting here and have a collection. Do it. try to do it. But it's a lot of word of mouth. Like, how do we present something? How do we display the brand? How do we build a brand? Like, it's a brand that's literally 4 months old. And like, for us, the challenge now is to answer your question. What I'm doing is how to reach, like, get the word out beyond this NFT space that we're in. And I want to have a brand that reaches mass market awareness and that you hear about, because it is directly linked to gaming, directly linked to basketball, and directly linked to sport and play to earn. And this is going to be the challenge over the next years, essentially. But it's a very exciting challenge, and I love the community. I love every person. Like, I'm super thankful for everyone that got a Kong, because we have a floor of 1.5 ETH, which is a lot of money. And I'm still I have moments where I'm literally speechless. Like I don't know what happened in the last year. Like it feels like a fever dream of NFTs, and I'm super thankful. And I say that like in every opportunity I get, like I'm thanking everyone that is part of the project, because it's just like what we also said, like we just want to do cool shit, and I think it shows. And I think this is also like what drew me into this space. Like the NFT space is very welcoming still, and it might change as it's going to get more mass market and there's going to be more people in, but still like you sent me a DM if I want to hop on this call, and yeah, sure, let's just do it. And it's very cool. And
amazing.
Just having fun.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. We'll have you back in a few months to check in on all of it and probably talk about the many sort of nitty-gritty topics here that we weren't able to get into. I mentioned checking out your Twitter. You talk about RumbleKongz, you talk about Sandbox. Spell your Twitter. Your Twitter handle is weird because it's not your name and it's got lots of consonants. It's got lots of consonants, Marcus.
It's at direct. It's like you put an at, which is this A with the circle around.
Okay, they understand that part.
DIREKKT.
Yes, okay. So direct, except it's not with a C and it's two Ks. If you were to say, hey, it's direct with two Ks, people would be like, what? Because direct, in English is not even spelled with a K.
Yes, actually, I had the moment once where I was thinking about a rebrand, but then I was like, just learn it.
You figure it out.
Yeah, you figure it out.
Fantastic. Well, we'll also link to it in the show notes, but give Marcus a follow, check out, you do share really some interesting articles. I in doing my research for this was happy to stumble across some of what you were sharing. And thank you so much for being here. We will chat again, and I hope, say hi to Snoop for me, most important.
Will do.
Yeah, you're talking a couple hours, tell him I'm a fan.
Yes, we do.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, head over to Bankless HQ right now to develop your crypto investing skills and learn how to free yourself from banks and gain your financial independence. We recommend joining our daily newsletter, podcast, and community as a Bankless Premium subscriber to get the most out of your Bankless experience. You'll get access to our market analysis, our alpha leaks, and exclusive content, and even the Bankless token for airdrops, raffles, and unlocks. If you're interested in crypto, the Bankless community is where you want to be. Click the link in the description to become a Bankless Premium subscriber today. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for in-depth interviews with industry leaders, Ask Me Anythings, and weekly roll-ups where we summarize the week in crypto and other fantastic content. Thanks everyone for watching and being on the journey as we build out the Bankless Nation.